Good day, everyone. Welcome to another Wunderbuild tutorial. Today, we have a very exciting feature to release. And in this feature, we have some partners that we have collaborated. So we have Adam Anthony from Bio Building and Tom Lawton from VTE. So in this feature, I'm going to let Tom to quickly introduce the story behind it. Over to you, Tom.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate being here. So look, today we're going to be talking about the new Wunderbuild feature of the master price list. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a background on where this idea come from and how we, V2E, have been working with Wunderbuild, and I'll throw to Adam in a minute as well. Adam has become our guinea pig builder between the two of us as well, to be the one that's happy to test a bunch of these things. But I think that might be a good place to start, is talking a little bit about the idea and the theory and where we come from, and then how that kind of generated from here. So obviously V2E, what we are is like a build quantities company. So we do 3D models, and then from our models we can do takeoffs. But the key thing with builders doing their estimating and doing their costings is there's two parts to it. There's doing the takeoffs, the measuring, and then finding the pricing. And so we've always been big believers in that. The builder should own his own pricing, should understand where his prices are coming from, because there's so much variance in the market between location, what suppliers you use, not only location of state by state, but also, you know, area to area, regional versus city, things like that. So what was working really well was this idea of a builder having their own in-house price list, because one of the things we learned from project builders is they don't keep a price list from a timber supplier, and then a price list from a Rio supplier, and a price list from the plasterboard installer, all that kind of stuff. What they do is they take all the relevant bits of information from all the different sources, and they compile it into one company price list. So that way you're always estimating from the one source. So you're always giving like true costs. You're only really maintaining your one source of truth, and everything can be fed from the one spot, which was great. And the SKU code functionality that Wunderbuild has really was making that work, for being able to, you know, drop BOQs in and pull prices through from a price list, which was fantastic. But then after doing a few jobs and going through and having this process work and working pretty closely with Adam on that, what we found is that there was a few little teething things that are more like, this could be done better if we could then bring other prices into it. And so you're always pulling from the one master list, but instead of having to manually upkeep prices and things like that, you can feed other suppliers and other prices into it. So now, instead of having a price list over here that's got data, and then you're having to manually transfer data into your master list and always check to make sure that's up to date, what you can then do is build this sort of relationship where you hold your master prices, and all that is the amalgamation of all the things you want to plug into it. So that way you're always drawing it from the one spot. But instead of having to manually upkeep things, you can now link them to, sweet, I've got a prices from this timber supplier and a prices from this timber supplier. So now I can link those two. So anytime my supplier gives me updated rates, instead of having to go through and check all the line items, all I'm going to have to do is update that supplier's list, and it's going to be able to keep the link that feeds through to my master list. So really what this came from was the idea of a builder should own his pricing and should amalgamate with a master estimating list. The problem with things like live integration and stuff like that is they're not really live integration, because they're constantly being updated, and then not every supplier can give you. So I know, Adam, that might be a good point. You said one of your examples is live integration was great, but being a regional builder, some of your suppliers couldn't give that to you. Sure.
Yeah, that's right. So other building softwares that I used had live integration features, but the issue was that it was only the major suppliers that were jumping on board for it. So being in a regional town and using a multitude of different suppliers as we do as builders, you were only able to use the ones that were plugging into the system, like the big players. And that's not always who you're purchasing from as a builder or getting your supplies from. So while that was great to have that feature, it only solved 20% of the problem for myself anyway. So I still wanted to own pricing. I still wanted to be able to gather price lists off my suppliers in whichever format they wanted to give it to me. And I wanted to have it plugged into my system and be easy to maintain.
Cool. And I think that's one of the other key things is that, like, yeah, you and I always laugh because you're in Goulburn, which is regional, and I'm from a town that's way smaller that I think is regional. But it means that we understand the same thing, that, like, where I grew up, like, pricing, you could build the same house. Like, you know, project builders, where I grew up, the town's only an hour and a half, 45 minutes away from the city. So project builders are going to come to build there, but you could build the same design house there, and it's going to cost way different purely because, like, delivery costs, material costs are different. There's no Bunnings out there, so it's not on that price. It's on country prices and things like that. So it purely just from being only like slightly further away, it can change the whole way you run it. I think the other thing that we learned as well is that not all builders are set up the same. So one of the big things we talk about is the difference between having your own employees, so the way you track labor compared to using subcontractors, and then how you use the mixture of both. And also what that means in terms of, like, in your price list, like, if you're not buying the Rio and that's coming as part of a supply and install package, then it doesn't make sense for you to be quoting Rio all the time, kind of thing. So the master list gives you the ability to, like, pick and choose what items you want to plug into it as well, which I think is probably another big one in theory about understanding for you as well, setting up the difference between what's tracked in-house, what's tracked via a trade and a rate and things like that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's correct. The one thing I've learned over the last couple of years is a price list isn't just something that comes from a Bunnings or a Reese Plumbing or something like that. A price list is something you can create internally on whether that's labor items for yourself, rate packages for subcontractors. All of that compiles a master price list, not just, the screws and nails from the store, which are important, but you still want to maintain pricing across your whole company or in your whole build, not just one supplier.
Yeah, I think so. That's right. And I think, like, the thing about that as well is also the fact that, like, even if you're getting quotes or, quote packages from subcontractors, say, for example, like, having the ability to then still check the pricing that comes through to qualify it by coming through and going, well, if I have a price list and it tells me that my budget for, say, doing the slab labor should be around this much, then when I get the quote, I've actually got data that I can compare it to show, well, if it's within 5%, I'm probably happy to accept that he's included everything in the quote. But if it's out, then all of a sudden I've got data to figure out where this comes from.
Yeah, I think owning that pricing is important. And I think everyone would understand that you're not always getting pricing back as quick from subcontractors and suppliers as you'd like. So having that benchmark in your price list of what things should cost, and you being able to, quickly give a price to a client and say, look, this isn't the final price. I'm still waiting on pricing, but this is where we think it should sit. So you're giving them answers early from what is your price file, essentially.
Yeah. And so the theory of how all three of us came together was around things like Adam and I started working together, both understanding 3D models, takeoffs, Adam being a Wunderbuild user, then Hashi and I are meeting through some events and understanding how we can work with Wunderbuild. And so we're sort of talking to each other, trying to make systems work. And then we started this year doing some of our sort of combined dual workshop events. So I'm just thinking about just this year only what we've done in terms of we started in Adelaide, and that was one format, and then we went to Tasmania where we were linked up with some other partners as well, and we did 2 days in Tasmania, and then by the time this recording comes out, we would have done our next one, which would have been in Sydney. And every time we've done those events, not only has it given us another opportunity to talk to each other more and to get through it, but it's also a really good opportunity for us to actually keep refining ideas and go, all right, well, from this workshop, we've learned this is what people want to hear about, and this is a solution that us as providers can provide. Wunderbuild, how can we partner up to do that? Adam, are you happy to come and give us builders feedback from that? So it's kind of spawned from people kind of interacting with each other to actually making a real intentional effort to try and provide some solutions for builders in the industry.
Yeah, and the one thing that come out of our last TASI trip was actually, it's obviously, ideas come up every day, but we made a decision, I think after the TASI trip in June, that we should start to look at this deeply. And when we met, the decision we made was to catch up more weekly, and every week we will workshop this idea and see how far we can actually iron it out, how we can actually make it possible to be engineered. Because from a product development, often you get an idea and you can just believe the idea without actually trying to map out and get all the ins and outs, make sure this feature is actually visible within the product, but also it's actually going to add value to the end customer as well.
Yeah, I think the great thing also is, and we'll get into this when we show it, is a lot of builders probably don't understand how easy it is to create a price file and what they have to ask for off their suppliers. So once they see this demonstration and understand the theory and how it works, they'll be able to actually implement it themselves and not be reliant on other systems and pricing. In that they can actually take something out of this and go to their suppliers and create a price list.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, why don't I share the screen and jump in, and we can give a bit of a rundown on what we've worked on and how it works to you guys, all right? Sweet. So what I thought we'd do is just give you guys a walkthrough on what the feature is, where it lives inside Wunderbuild, and then I'll talk a little bit about how we at V2E can provide something to help set this up. But it's really about understanding how the feature works in Wunderbuild and where it's come from. So first thing I'll start is in the settings section of Wunderbuild, where we can hold price lists. The theory behind how price lists work, like we've been talking about, is that it's just a place where you can hold data, and a price list doesn't necessarily mean a supplier price list. Like the sample ones we've got in there are Bunnings Mitre 10, Sand and Soil, but we've also got like a bricklayer's price list here. So it's more just a list of rates or a list of prices and items and line items that you'd use to make up your database. So the idea of the price book initially, what it is if I click on this ABC Builders one, is an amalgamation of a massive database that's got all of the like standard items that a custom builder should have in his price list. So, costs for different bricks, brickwork labor. We've got things like, concrete labor. This is for subby rates for things like, square meter rates, installed piers, things like that. So the important parts to have in a price list when you're setting up your master one are the costing item, which is basically the description of what the line item is. And what you want in your master list or in your price book is for the description to be generic enough that you can link multiple things into it, and then it can, you're not quoting specific brands of products potentially because your supplier might not stock that specific model number or that specific item. But also you need it to be specific enough so that when project managers or any other sort of stakeholders that are involved in the project are going to be able to understand what that line item means. So that's the first one. Other important ones are unit of measure, how it's measured, what they cost code, so that way you can use it for tracking either inside Wunderbuild with the cost code view in your cost tracking section, or if you're linking it back to zero and you're tracking cost codes that way. That's really important. And the other one is this SKU number. So SKU stands for stock keeping unit. Basically what this is a number to tell us how much this item, whatever we've called it, is costing. So the functionality of Wunderbuild works where if we're going to import a job, so I'm going to clean this one out and I'll re-import it from scratch. I'll re-import a job from scratch. And I'll show you what happens when we import a takeoff that has SKU codes linked to it as well. I'm dropping in here. So we can see Wunderbuild maps all the categories right, SKU in here. So this is where our bill of quantities file, or the file that you're importing, is got no prices in it. It's got just SKU codes here. And we can go import. And that's going to fill out all the items, put them in the right spot. So before we talk about the master list and the linking part of it, what I'll show you is kind of like how it worked initially and where the potential bumps came up from and why we provided this as a solution. So if we look at something like site setup, we've got an item for temp fencing, 16 linear meters. When I hover over this symbol here, this is telling me, this marketplace symbol or this little house symbol is telling me I've found a matching SKU code in your price list. And that's great. What it's just telling me is in my price list, this SKU code is set to $0. And that's fine, because what we can do with Wunderbuild is we can open up the costing, we can click on the linked cost button and come into here, edit the item and put in, we can't do it on this screen, but we can do it in the price list setting, that the cost of our temp fence is going to be $15 a linear meter, say, for example. Now, that's fantastic. We can go through and do that on a whole job's worth. Not only are we updating prices in our master list as we go, but we're also up pricing a job at the same time. So that functionality has worked well and it makes sense. But where the problem comes in is if you've got two different price lists that you're drawing prices from, you know, how do you price it? What supplier do you pick the pricing from? How do you control what information is going to be shown there, what's not? And then how does that translate through to when you're ordering to make sure you're ordering it from the right spot? But also, how do you keep control that if there's an update to then have to go through and, okay, well, Monoton's given me an updated price, so now I'm going to go through and check all the Timberline items. This is where the idea of plugging other prices to the master list comes in. So if I go down to the concrete footings section, actually I'll find one that's got here, the slab section here. See how now I've got a couple of items here that have prices attached to them. So there's two different ways that this is going to come up to it. The first one is when we've got no little number here next to it. So that's just telling me it's only linked to my SKU code in my master list. So for an example of that is if I come down into appliances, I've got range hood as an item. I haven't got any range hood supply items linked, but I've just put in my master list a budget of range hood. It's going to be $1,500 per range hood is my budget. Whereas if I go back to the slab section of the job, if we look at some items like this SL82 mesh in here, see, it's now showing me here that it's got the number 2 there, and it's got some pricing here. If I hover over that, that's now showing me all the places that it's found a link. So what it's telling me is it's pulled the SKU code through to the ABC Builders price list, which is great. The price is $186.27. Where's that pricing come from? It's because the alternatives underneath there are, I've actually linked a line item in the Bunnings price list and the line item in the Mitre 10 price list to the same SKU code. So what I can do is if I want to change that and go, oh, gee, the Mitre 10 price list is cheaper, I can select that. And with this little pop-up here, I can either update it just in this category, or I can update it across any other item that's the same item. So it slabs as an example of, you might use that mesh in footings pour, or you might be in a slab pour, and then it might be in a driveways and paths pour, something like that. So we're just going to hit yes on that. And now the category is refreshed to the right price. And when I hover over it, it's telling me, hey, it's still linked to the ABC master one, but you've selected to use the Mitre 10 one. And if I want to swap back, it's as easy as hitting that select button as well. But how do we actually link those items so that you can have this ability? This is the process that I've been finding is a great way to do it, either through a job or through the process yourself. So since I'm inside the costing of a job, I'll show you how to do it in a job, and then we can jump into the price list and show you that way as well. So if I come in and pick an item, say tire wire bundles, for example, come into edit, drop down to see tire wire, click on here, locked to a price this item, sweet, it's locked to my master ABC Builders price book. I can edit this. When I scroll down here, I've got this option here to be able to link to a price this item. So I can hit link and I could go Bunnings. And this is a really cool feature. I can come in here and type search wire, for example, and we've got cool wire for mesh trenching in here, or we've got brick ties. But I know that's the item that I want because that's tie wire. So I can just hit link. But now if I also want to go and find a similar item in my Mitre 10 price list, what I can do is I can keep the search description in there. And when I drop down to Mitre 10, it's already going to filter by this. And in here, we've got tie wire for rebar. Sweet. So I can go link. And now when I go close, what it's got in here is it's showing me, hey, this is the item that's picked up from your master SKU code. Here are the two items you've linked to your price list, and I can set which item I want as my default. So what that means is whenever I bring a takeoff in with the master SKU code, it will automatically pull through the pricing of this item that I've got set as default. So I might set the Bunnings one as my default. So I'll go update. And now when I've got this checking the linked item, it's now showing me the linked items. It's showing me with the star, which is my default item. And see how this item from the Bunnings price list has got the picture in there? What's great about that is if I go close and I go update, not only has it pulled through the pricing that I've now linked it to, yeah, it's also got the two items I can pick from, and it shows me the picture of that item here in that preview as well. So the idea of your price list is it's not just a location to hold pricing, but having pictures, you can put attachments in there as well. It really starts to become a hub for all of your information that you need to have as a builder. So some other items when we look that we've got pictures, things like, framing, we've got different options in here. What else? Some pictures in some of these framing ones, sorry. But even to be able to add a picture to it, so even if I wanted to come in and add a picture to the 7035 one, I can do the same thing and I can do it through the job. So I can click here and I can, here we can go, they're in the selectable ones here. I could go select, or replace, select that one instead. When I hit update, and now come through with the picture in there as well. So what we're saying is you run your master prices as the database that you feed everything else into, and then you can start getting prices from not only suppliers, but from other trades and start linking them in. The other way you can do it is inside the settings section. So if we go into price list, first thing we want to do is set our master price list. So we can do that by selecting which one is your master one, coming over to the three dots, edit, make this as our master list. So we've done that. And now when I go into these items, I can do the same thing. So if I want to come into find, I might go door hardware as an example, come into edit, edit an item here. And now it takes me to the same spot that I was looking at before where I can link that to an item. So I might be able to come into Bunnings and find, door handle, say for example, hardware, maybe that'll come up. No, it might be a category. Here we go. Door accessory, door furniture. And I can go, there's some flush pulls in there. What else was in there? And door furniture. Knobs and levers, that's probably a good place to start. I might actually come in and go, well, my auto allowance for passage sets I want to be is knob set, lane, bala, passage set. So I can link that here. And then I might come in and find, actually, and I also want to give an option for, passage sets for Lockwood levers as well. And maybe I've got, is there another one here? I've got a Bailey one as well. So I can link all of those through here, and they're going to come up as links. So now when I've got that item in my job costing, as long as I've got a passage set in this job, which I didn't check before, I've now got 3 items, and I can see all the 3 items that I've linked as options. So this then leads into being able to make selections a lot easier as well, which is something that we can work on in the future coming through. But the ability to link multiple things in now gives you all the opportunities to chop and change and swap and see pricing variation from within your costings, which is where it should be, because the costings is the heartbeat of your job. Is there any other demo parts?
I think it's real quick to mention, Tom, that you only ever link in once. That's the
right.
theory behind it. You're not linking at every project. So once you create your master price list, you're only ever linking back to the sub price list once. Yeah. And then it will always recognize that they are related to each other.
That's right. And because it's linked, Hashi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure because it's linked like supplier SKU to master SKU, one of the benefits is suppliers will never update the SKU codes of their items. So when you get an updated price list, all you're doing is saving it over the top of the existing customer prices. And because those SKUs won't change, it'll remember that link to link. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can get the spreadsheet of the price list and upload it back again into your price book, and it will keep all the links, all the relationship between entities, and nothing is going to break.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So that's basically the hard sell on, or the description on how to link it, how it works with costings, things like that. I just thought I'd show you guys a little bit. This is how V2E what we can offer you guys to set up is not only the full-on database that you can start with that's already pre-SKU coded, and we can set these SKU codes to be custom to your business, but essentially what you can do is we can onboard you and give you the full starting master list database with already the SKU codes set up, plug it into Wunderbuild, so that way when you get your your suppliers prices, we can help you start plugging them in. And then as a service, we can be offering to continue to do BOQs. But the benefit of just having the prices set up is that even if it's not something that an external estimator is helping with and you're doing a small takeoff yourself, or you want to add items into a job costing, things like that, is I can now search 7035 MGP10, for example. It's come up here in my master prices straight away. I can see what items are linked. I can see if I click here with the star, which price it's going to pull through automatically. So I can hit that, put in, we're going to want 10 extra linear meters of that in there, update it, and it's going to pull all that information through for you as well. So it's not just about, we'd love to support you and do jobs for you, which is great, but it's also about helping builders set up their database so that they can be better building businesses. And this is where working with Wunderbuild, coming up with these solutions is such a great collaboration as well.
No, absolutely, Tom. Like we love, creating this ecosystem to support the end customer. And at the end of the day, it's like we want to provide the best solution to you. And thanks, Adam, as well, for all the hard work and the ideas, man. So this was one of those things where, it's not something that us as Wunderbuild could come up. It has to come from the community. It's a pain point that builders like Adam would face on a daily basis. So for us, we love hearing those kind of stories and collaborating with them and see how we can bring those kind of ideas to life.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been great working through these features with you all, and obviously, as always, as most people would understand, with Wunderbuild, they're really great at listening to the builders and implementing some features.
Especially Tim, would you say?
Especially Tim.
Especially Tim.
I don't know if you've got time to quickly just touch on the actual price lists and the inside the subcategory, if you want to go to there.
Into here?
Yeah, and I'll just explain a bit around price lists that I didn't understand with suppliers originally, but what I've been able to work out along the way. So the biggest pain point we had with this is the master price list from V2E which is great, and I've implemented it in my business. It's obviously a massive price list with a lot of data in there. So where the pain point was obviously maintaining it and updating prices. So what the theory behind linking sub price lists to it is most suppliers or all suppliers would have a CSV file or a spreadsheet or some sort of system in their business where they would keep their pricing file and data. So what you should be able to do is go to a supplier, whether that be a small supplier, large supplier, or whatever, and ask for their export of their pricing file. Okay. So when they export their pricing file, it should come across with a minimum a SKU code, which is their store SKU code, the item that is related to that SKU code, the costing, and the unit of measure. And I think they're the only four things you need from a supplier to create a price list. So they should be able to export a price list to you, and then you should be able to map it into Wunderbuild. And then the idea behind that is maintaining it is simply just requesting them for the updated price file every 2 to 3 months. So it's eliminated actual manual entry. It's eliminated actually going into your master price list and entering that data. All you're doing is uploading it once, linking which items relate to your master price list, and then maintaining it.
Yeah.
So it just becomes a maintenance thing that can take, 10, 15 minutes every 2, 3 months, 6 months, however often they update their pricing. It's simply you grabbing that file off them and uploading it into your system. It will automatically recognize that those SKU codes link to your master price list. So that's how you maintain up-to-date pricing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point in improving is that it purely just becomes there's no builder's knowledge other than doing the linking once. So there's the knowledge to go through and understand what item equals what. But after you've done that once, and the other idea to understand is that you don't have to link every single item from every single prices. The idea behind the master list is you only link the ones that are relevant to you as a builder. So it's building out your pricing DNA as a builder of what you want to include and what are your most used items. And just on that so this is what we're looking at in is like a Bunnings price list, sub price list, like Adam said, it's been updated. But I just want to show you, which is good, is you can also come through and in the sub price list, come through and see a bit like when we look in the costings to see how many items it's linked to, we can come in here and see the back way, sort of like the reversal, and say, well, from the sub prices, which item is this linked to in my master list as well? So again, it's that idea of once it's gone through and you've linked the items that you need to, you're just saving over the top, and all the work stays. All the work's already been done. There's no extra work that has to be done to keep it up to date.
I think the best way to explain it, Tom, is you got to treat your company like a shop or a retail store.
Yep.
So the master price list is everything you hold inside your store and you're selling. So you're selling bricks, you're selling labor, you're selling your plasterers, right? So that's your shop. You got to maintain your shop. Yep. Okay. And where you buy your stock from might come from all different places, same as a retail store. So all you're doing is maintaining your stock prices, essentially.
Yeah. And staying on the price list, while you obviously can upload the price list by yourself, we do offer that for you as well. You can reach out to the support team. Simply click on the little green question mark on the top right, and you can just reach out to our support team and even email us your price list, and we'll have that sorted for you within 24 hours.
Yeah, and I think that's another good point on the collaboration as well that we've been talking about is not only the idea behind this is a great system, and it's been great to have Adam help work with it from a builder's point of view. We do the work, but one of the big things that I think like Hash and I are really big on, and Adam has been good at jumping on board with as well, is that we want to help builders not only with setting up and then it's kind of figure it out to yourself, but ongoing support in terms of, like Hash just said, if you're getting price lists and you want help uploading them, then you've got Wunderbuild who not only can provide the software, but can help you with that support as well. You've got guys like us, not only are we there to help you set up the prices and understand this, but we can support you by constantly updating the data, SKU codes, by being able to provide, doing BOQs for you that link with the system and things like that. And Adam, like I think you would say, with some of the communities that we've been linked in with builders, not only with Wunderbuild, like there's Facebook groups, there's other things that it just means that if you're a builder that's using Wunderbuild or any of these systems, you've got questions, there's other builders that you can reach out and ask questions to as well.
Yeah, great. It's been definitely like collaborative, but it's not just my ideas either, as Hashi would say. There's other builders that have thrown ideas into it. Obviously I've tested and guinea pigged a lot of them, but so it's a cumulative of ideas.
I just want to add one comment that a builder from Western Australia told me July when I was over there, and it's an up-and-coming builder, and it's growing really rapidly. So he's been using Wunderbuild, I think, for three years. And one thing that he said to me that I still remember was that whoever you guys are talking to, keep talking to them. I like what features you guys are using constantly, and I think that tells the community-led idea behind it, because there's no way we as Wunderbuild will ever come up features like that. So he was like, just keep doing whatever you're doing. Every feature you release, we will implement. So it's absolutely amazing.
It's one of those things, and that's why this webinar now is so important. Is a lot of builders don't probably understand they need it or can implement it until they see it and understand it. So it's good to get these stuff out there so they can see how it works and the theories behind them.
Absolutely.
Awesome, guys. Well, I'm sure when this gets posted, there'll be contact details for V2E, for Wunderbuild, things like that. I'm sure we'll be doing some more workshop days in the future that we'd love to have you guys come along and go from there. Otherwise, Hashi, thanks for having us on this. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate your continuous feedback. And yeah, we're looking forward to the Sydney event and hoping to replicate that in all major cities very soon. So thanks, Adam, as well.
Thank you.